Hey, so a little behind the time that I said I would like to be back at it, but that is just fine. Give me one moment. Um, Wanted to talk about genetics real quick, just to have spoke on it. I want to speak. I just want to bring it up. So the first one, genotype is the genotype is the part of the genetic makeup of a cell and therefore of an organism or individual, which determines one of its characteristics, the genetic constitution of an individual. So that's just what the genotype is, right? Moment. Okay. And here. 1 second. And share. 1 second. So, not that we're trying to read this whole thing. We're going to go right here. This is what we're looking at. Decoding messages is also a key step in gene expression, in which information from a gene is read out to build a protein. In this article, we'll take a closer look at the genetic code, which allows DNA and RNA sequences to be decoded into the amino acids of a protein. All right, what this is pretty much saying is that you can actually put together, there's a code, as I've been saying, there's a code to the sequence. So that means that whenever you see a specific characteristic for a person, there's a certain code or sequence that's actually being enacted in order for them to have that look. I cannot stress this enough. Really, I cannot. Let's see. Here we go. Codons. Cells decode mRNAs by reading their nucleotides in groups of three called codons. Here are some of the features of codons. Most codons specify an amino acid. 3. Stop codons mark the end of a protein. 1 start codon, AUG, marks the beginning of a protein and also encodes the amino acid methionine. So pretty much, let me break that down real quick. The codons specify what it is that you're actually looking at. There's one of them that is the 3 represent, like it says here, the stop or the end of the protein, and then the 1 is the beginning of the protein. Now the reason why this is so important is because it's telling us now, I'm gonna show you a little picture right here, exactly what they're talking about. Now understand, look, so if it starts here, right, and this is the 3 pieces talking about 1, 2, 3, and it ends here, right on. However, the whole point of this right here, you can see how a code is put together for a person. Once again, look, the start is AUG, the end is UAA. See what I'm saying? Whatever though. The whole point is that if there's a certain level of understanding to what things correspond to what parts of a person's genetics, and this is where like this right here, right? So where it says this is a genetic code table, this is just like reading something for like alleles, or a positive. I mean, not positive, but a dominant and recessive genetics. And the reason why this is so important is because you see how it has this part of the genetic code or whatever right here. Well, it could easily be little lowercase letters that represent other things, because these all could be dominant genetics all the way through. You see what I'm saying? So, and it's still showing us how it all corresponds. This is the first letter, U. This is the second letter, right? And then this is the third letter over here. And for each category, they all intersect in a certain place. One moment. Excuse me for that. The whole point I'm trying to make right now is that, once again, is that for a person to be a white person or a black person or whatever, their genetic code, their genome, okay, has to align to a certain level. So even if a person is, let's say they're not black, right, by society's terms, but they're as dark skinned as any other person that you see, for the so-called melanin part of their sequence, so-called, they're going is going to mimic or match that of a person who is obviously of a darker skin tone like they are. It's not going to match a person who is of a lighter skin tone. Same thing that goes with their hair, though. So, whereas, sure, their skin is dark, and their hair may be dark, and their eyes also may be dark, the way in which their hair feels, you know, is not going to be the same. There's nobody on this planet who's like, let's say, like an Indian, like an East Indian, who's that dark, who has straight hair. None of them call themselves black, but yet they have dark skin. So let's assume, I'm being real hypothetical. Let's just assume that G is for skin color, right? And obviously you can see first letter G, right? Boom, boom, boom. And then going all this way, okay? See, because the third letter is from this side, this is how it corresponds. So there's four letters per thing, per codon. Um, the reason why this right here, once again, is so important, because let's say that this is for skin tone right here. This would look similar, once again, for one of those dark skinned Indians. Let's say we have multiples of these. We had one for a white guy, black guy, Asian, whatever. We would look across the board, and these genetic sequences here would line up for people who have like or similar features. Doesn't mean that they're the same genetically. It just means that the features are similar genetically, or the way that their code is put together genetically. I cannot stress this enough. I cannot stress this enough. I'm gonna have the Khan Academy part inside of the description box. It's not there yet because I wasn't completely sure if I was gonna do that part. However, I really, really, really wanted to talk about this as, being like a symptom of living, because what ends up happening with a lot of people is they'll be like, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. And you understand for the most part what it is they're trying to say, but they once again, they're cutting off too many crucial, important things. It's like, if you're gonna talk, Adam and Eve, and that's actually what you're talking about. And you're gonna say that, and I've heard people do this, you know what I'm saying? I've heard guys try to tie together the differences from Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. And I'm talking about guys who are well read within the scripture. They're very well read. They know what they're looking at. And because they're not willing to be wrong, right? That means that now we have to deal with that on a level where Like he might argue or she may argue with you as a person that once again all that within the Bible that we're reading, especially Genesis 1 chapter 1 and 2, these are all events that are being isolated and broke down. But it's like between the isolation of the events, there's specific happenings. I'll be very frank. Um, for some odd reason, no one finds it suspect or suspicious that Adam doesn't name any water animals, and he only names animals that at some point in time throughout their daily activities will touch and make contact with the earth. More so is that when a person can do that, then they can overlook other things that are obvious. And these are just symptoms of living with people, symptoms of living life, and then people being able to overlook these things, overreach them, however they see fit. It's uh, it's really quite a shame because just like they'll deny certain obvious things, it's painstakingly obvious when a man has to say, you know what, hey, anybody ever, notice that what's his name? No, what is this character's name? Um, 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 in the Bible. I'm skipping kind of forward. Suzuki. Okay. Um, I had a I had a very, 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 very interesting thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. I got to get back to chapter 12 real quick, and then I'll read it here in a moment. But the symptom of living, let's talk about this genetic stuff again. Once again, if they look a certain way, right, that means that their genome, their genetic code, right on, has to follow a certain structure. It cannot betray that. You can't have, I can't be the biological father and a woman who's similar to myself, you know what I mean, in characteristics, be the biological mother, and then us have the children who favors not just in skin tone, but in their hair and the other features that of an Indo-European person, of the lighter skin or lesser melanation diaspora. And why this is so important is because you have to see in your mind first how that doesn't make sense. Because if you're like, okay, yeah, two black people can't make a white baby, they can make an albino, but they can't make a European white person. A person has to have that in their mind. They have to know this. Otherwise, deception is quite achievable. And the reason why it's so achievable is because now in the mind where we should be questioning something or what is in question should have a level of absolute um, uh, um, complete absolute victory in the sense that there's nothing contending with it. You know, if a person will tell you that they don't believe that the sun is going to rise tomorrow, right? That's that's their business to believe that. It's another thing for them to put that out there as if the sun might not come up for real. You get what I mean? As if all of a sudden they know something more than the rest of the world doesn't know, that they know something different than all the elders who've lived on this earth before them. It goes against everything that we know. When you have people who go against their own genome, their own genetic code, you know, what's their best interest in mind? Um, Earlier, my dad had showed up just hours and hours ago, and when he had pulled up, because he had hit me up a couple hours before that, and I was like, shit, he probably ain't even coming, because I know my dad, because I'm the same way. Like, we'll hit each other up, and I'm like, I'm on my way, or I'll be there in a little bit. and something might happen. You might see one of your little cronies on the way too, and just get sidetracked, and you end up calling each other and be like, "Yo, I'm not gonna make it," or whatever, whatever. But and then for him to come in here, and just to start talking regular, you know, as if he didn't hear me say to him, that I'm doing a live stream. Because once again, that's not his generation. That's not in his mind to know what a live stream is. Yet at the same time, my father understood the entire concept. He knew what it was, and this is once again, this is a symptom of living, where he, yes, he shows up, but at the same time, his presence didn't hurt, but it actually helped the actual essence of what was going on. And it's the same thing when you talk about this gene code thing. It only helps what I've been talking about for forever, as far as with darker skinned people who look similar, who are not the same. And it is always going to be like that. It's always going to be dark people who look similar but are not the same, you know. And it's imperative that we see as people, that we see interactions that are conducive, number one, and then number two, the reactions are tied in, or the interactions are tied in to what it is that we exist, and that we fulfill daily through our own personal destiny, whether or not that's what we're attempting to do. Um, it has been a long, 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 long journey. I just want to pull up a couple pictures real fast, right? And I'm gonna just once again, I'm just gonna challenge you guys just to think, like, where did these people come from? You know, and if you can give me a better answer than they came from, I don't know, Middle Earth, then I'm with you. But you have to be able to explain, how, once again, a genetic sequence that was never on the planet all of a sudden came about. Like, right. That's why it's so huge. That's why it's so important to actually know just a little bit about what you're talking about. You know, Give me 1 second. I'm not going to use this folder. I'm going to use another folder. HP downloads is always a good folder. We'll see what this one has in it. All right, bada boom, bada bing. We're just gonna break down some of these these pictures where they're with the so-called heathen, and and it's not even about a vulgarity per se, but I just need you guys to look at this. So I'm gonna blow it up. Okay, so that's legible. Check me out. These are Black Indians in America. Right on. Do they look like anybody I know? No. Does anybody I know still look like this now? No. These are Aboriginals. Okay. The question I want you to ask yourself is, how could white geneticists find that there are white people like this and black people like this, right? Who look a certain way, are genetically related. They're almost the same people. Riddle me that. How does that happen? Right? What part of the genome makes you the same ultimately? You get what I'm talking about? I couldn't say. I couldn't say how many gene code sequences would have to be similar or the same for you to be just the same as that person and then not look anything like them. I would assume at this point it has more to do with the actual DNA and specifically the vehicle wherein which the DNA was delivered unto your genetics via paternal or maternal. Uh, However, let me go to this next picture. Okay, bam. See if we can't read this stuff at the bottom. The scenes, the scenes which the above uh, play is designed to represent figure one, mother, a second. She's doing something for the lives of the children. And number two, Mr. Evis, cruelly murdered by his own slaves. Three, Mr. Harrow, who bravely defended himself as his wife escaped. A camp of mounted dragoons to persist of the black. I can't see what it's saying, and that's it. Anyway, look at this. So it's talking about who these figures are, right? So this guy right here, they're saying that he's fighting to keep his stuff safe, while these guys are savagely murdering this man, right? Uh, and this lady's, she's playing with this dude for the life of her babies. So this is what happens first. This is like some straight Nat Turner shit. And then this is what happens afterwards. Now, once again, this is the question I want you to ask yourself. Because this guy looks to me to have facial hair. And the man standing right next to him looks to not have any facial hair. Let's assume that this guy's just shaved. Let's assume that. Look at this dude's hair over here. Look at his hair. Look at his hair. Look at his hair. These two gentlemen, the second and the fourth black man, look more alike, and the third and the first black man look more alike to one another. Now, I couldn't, obviously, I'm not there, so I can't tell you how right I think I am. But if as a gambling man, I would be forced to tell you that all the black guys we're looking at in this picture are not the same people. But because they all took place in said activities, they will then say that all you black son bitches are the same. You see? That's the danger of it. It's not necessarily per se what we can't prove. These dudes right here. Inspection the cell of a Negro. Now let's get all up on these dudes. Look, this guy looks black to me. This motherfucker look black, and this motherfucker look black. Look like a white boy, and a white boy. Now understand, they look like they're bargaining the price, like how much money they want for this dude. Dig this. How would these dudes, these guys, be in such good standing that they could bring a dude who looks like them to these people? And this is what I'm trying to talk to you guys about, the black Indians who were the sellouts of their own to their own people. Black Aboriginals, black Native Americans, so-called Africans who are already here. So-called. And there's a reason why I say that. Look how dark these Indians are. Okay? Look at them. Look how dark they are. Once again, this guy way back here looks like a nigga more than he looks like an Indian. Right here, look like a white boy almost. Almost look like a demon. I ain't even gonna keep going all in, but just look how are all dressed differently. Little Arab looking dudes and shit. Look at this. Most significant slave uprising that took place in colonial America was the Stone Rebellion in South Carolina, 1739. Now look at these guys' hair. This is why I always try to say that it's important. His hair looks like it falls down like that naturally. If it grows out and it kind of curls and bushes out. He does not look like my people. Notice this guy. Notice this guy. You see what I'm saying? This is why they treat all black people as if we're all violent, because they understood that these other black slaves, this is why they also didn't mind the slave trade, because trying to enslave the black Indians here, as opposed to buying people who were way more docilated, just, you see what I'm saying? Right. Because they're way more dapper down. It just made more sense to buy them. Slave revolt on the ship. Once again, how many of these dudes are the people? How many of them are not? How many of them are shaved faces? How many have naturally bald faces like this? You get me? Where would they get this idea from? But and still, once again, this is a symptom of living right here. Where it's okay if they treat you like this. I got to go in for a second. But if you do anything to defend yourself, once again, they try to say that Cuddy savagely murdered whatever. What would they say about these dudes? You're about to take them to be slaves and they should just fucking accept that, huh? Okay. Look, same thing here. Same thing here. But once again, all these black dudes, you see what I'm talking about? And there's even a little kid there. This is crazy. You can even tell that this brother right here has facial hair, all kinds of stuff. Even the brother holding him actually like having a little drab on his face. The whole point is this: is that if I wanted to look at these guys and then go all the way back to these guys, right? I could easily claim that some of these people we're looking at are genetically the same. I could say that these dudes, right? I could specifically this dude right here who looks like he has a beard and curly looking hair. I can say that unless this guy is clean shaven, he's one of these aboriginals, one of the loose, curly hair aboriginals that was in America. And these are the booty face, flat, long hair, black skinned people, right on, of different tribes. Once again, just observe how they're put together, all that kind of stuff, because that's what matters. You know, the way that the body's actually built, everything. This is supposed to portray a black man way back in the day who was, just out there diddy bopping. Now, once again, assume that this brother right here uh, is a brother and maybe shaves. The question you have to ask yourself is once again is what genome, genetic sequence, genetic code would cause for a beard to set in on one kind of black person and then for no facial hair to set in on another. So look, long before the Civil War, blacks found freedom in Spanish Florida. This is where they clustered. This is where they clustered between 1690 and the 1850s. You see what I'm saying? So just know. Look at this. Seminole villages with black residents. It's showing us this right here. Black fort settlements. Okay? Black villages. Mulattoes Ghost Town. Wow, come on. Blue Mix Girl Town. These guys are so funny. Look at all this stuff. So, and I guarantee you, all those black people back then, who they're calling black on this right now, were not the same. They're not genetically the same. I know for a fact they're not. Seminole Wars. want y'all to look at this and then understand what I just showed you. If people have been going there since 1690, you have black people who don't really understand. Like, bro, your people got off the boat and were able to get and go free and live amongst the people who were already on the land. This is why some of these dudes don't look nothing like you right now, because their genetics have been so tampered and watered down that none of their genomes, right on, or their genetic code is matching anything that your genetic code says, other than maybe skin tone or something like that, or the way that their hair is formed, because it's coarse. Uh, uh, just be very keen and pay attention to the time period of all this stuff, and understand that anytime after this, you're talking about the Civil War pretty much. You know, there's a black man, right, dealing with the Spaniards. Okay, just look at yourself. Now, when you look at this picture right here, everybody's like, "Oh man, that's the black man's struggle." But unless all these black dudes shave, they're all not genetically the same. And when you have this old, flat-haired, troglodyte looking motherfucker right here on the horse, it should be a black troglodyte looking motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? On the horse with straight hair. That's what it would have looked like back in the day. Wouldn't have looked just like this. When they try to say, "Oh, these dudes, all the red skin dudes is woo," no, bro. They wouldn't have these dudes on shit dog reservations if all those guys were sellouts. The sellouts are the ones who have casinos. Sellouts are the ones where they change the name or move them and then put them in place of another tribe, and they started paying the so-called tribe that they are in place of real money. So again, unless this black man is shaved, I know all kinds of Wessel Westbrook, big black buck looking dudes, right on, who they got brown skin, they have coarse looking hair, but he don't grow no facial hair. He's not my people. I don't care what they tell me. And when I get to the end of pictures like this, that's when I'm done with this part in particular. Look at this right here. It's a black Indian. If I'm not mistaken, he was he's a Seminole. Now, if you've ever seen black Seminole Indians from Florida, you'll know that some of them look just like brothers, grow full facial hair and all that, and then some of them don't. Some of them look like gosh darn Indians. Some of them are dark people, dark brown people with straight hair. And until we're able to tell ourselves the honest truth and say, you know what, okay, they have a similar struggle because the pale skinned man has made it a point to make us all the same, you know, and that's their prerogative. You can't make a person accept you, you know. The same way that an Irish or a Jew or a Italian or a German or a French, whom are all Indo-Europeans, right on, will distinguish themselves from one another, is the same way that blacks should be distinguished from one another. And seeing the fact that all the people of the said groups I just mentioned, all of them have men who don't grow facial hair within them, it's highly unthinkable that those people could even carry on a conversation until they figured out that within their own so-called same genetic structure. It's the only way. Nothing else makes sense. Nothing. This is Toussaint Overthrow, the guy who helped Haiti overthrow the whites and get their freedom. Look at this dude. Look at this dude. Look like he conjured up spirits from the demons. Anyway, man, got one of their little wigs on, everything. He was trying to be just like them. You see what I'm saying? You feel me? Look at these dudes. Ridiculous. You're taking this guy serious? Once again, if he ain't got no facial hair, he's not my people. He's not. Look, all the women in the back already naked, probably already been ran through and embarrassed. Look at this woman, totally ashamed. Look at this devil motherfucker right here. The devil. All the devil. Every single one of them. So every time I see a black chick hugged up on one of these motherfuckers, there's a reason why I feel some type of way. And yeah, I know your white boy didn't do this to you. What black chick out there in the world? She's not listening, so we're not worried about her. But we gotta address it like she is. And she's gonna be like, "Well, my man doesn't do that kind of stuff to me." And so it doesn't matter because these kinds of people did it to your people. That's all that matters. And right here, I think this might be the last one. Note, this picture is right. Look at the fact that these guys are in fact, the same fucking skin tone and color, almost by a part. He's got long straight hair. He obviously doesn't have long straight hair. Clearly, he's shaving. But him, can't. I don't know. I don't know if he has to shave. This is an Indian, and this is a black man. This is why this is so big. What part of his genome would give him straight hair, super high defined cheekbones, narrow nose, right on? Would give him high cheekbones, but they're not as prominent, a much larger nose, fuller lips, a more rounder chin. You know, his jaw overall looks stronger than this guy's. Can you dig what I'm saying? What would do that? These are symptoms of living, symptoms. So, in order for these symptoms we're looking at to be here, somebody brought these symptoms here. They brought the circumstances that would allow these symptoms to still be prevalent and thrive. Yeah. And that's one of my favorite pictures to use whenever I want to talk about, white people and the certain things to look at when you're looking at them. Because she's a typical blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman. You know what I mean? Not overly attractive or nothing like that, but at the same time, not to where people are like, take the damn screen off, you know, because a person like that you still have to use as an example, sometimes maybe even a catalyst to really bolden your argument. I don't need that for right now. So there's no need to carry on with that. What I do need though is for you to really see that one's genetic constitution is everything. How you doing, sister? I'm just now pulling over to look at the screen and whatnot. Greetings, greetings. But the symptoms of living. Uh, if a guy goes and they say once again he looks like me, guy goes and gets a chick pregnant, right? Who doesn't look anything like him? Now, some people can try to claim that, what up, JP Hope? What up? You got people who will claim stuff that's weird, like they'll be like, oh, you know, now, once again, if we as black people will say that all black people are just not the same people, it's easy then for a person to discredit one drop of black blood makes you black, because there needs to be a distinguishment, a discernment between what kind of black we're talking about, and unless that's going to be made clear, to just say black, you know, it's kind of really a vague term. Um, I don't really see the issue with trying to go all in on this part right here in particular, because no one's going to talk about it and really understand it and appreciate it unless I read this to you. Hopefully, this time it sticks. Hopefully, this time it makes a lot more sense. Once again, think about the symptoms of living. Okay. Verse 1 of chapter 12 of the Second Chronicles. And it came to pass, when the kingdom of Rehoboam was established, and when he had grown strong, that he forsook the commandments of the Lord, and all Israel with him. And it came to pass in the 5th year of the reign of Rehoboam, Susakim, king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem, because they had sinned against the Lord, with 1,200 chariots and 60,000 horse. And there was no number to the multitude of and there was no number of the multitude that came with him from number one, Egypt, Libya. Listen, Egypt is Libyans, Troglodytes, and Ethiopians. Stop right there. Now, the word troglodyte is spelled Trogodytes. If there was an L in the word, it would be troglodytes. You understand? Now, when you look up troglodytes, the word troglodyte is brought up automatically. Now, the reason why this is so important is because let's assume that the white man is actually not the troglodyte. And let's assume that the troglodyte is an aboriginal type person, right? More of a cave dweller still, a Middle Earther for sure. Don't you think this is kind of weird that they're called troglodytes and they're not called Gentiles or heathens, and then just not named apparently? No, they're named. They're called troglodytes. Okay. The symptoms of living. Symptoms of living means that this group of Gentiles in particular came up here and distinguished themselves so much so that they gained a name. Right. Right. These are the same primordial things that I read about in Spiritual Gumbo, Volume 3, Batch 12, or Batch 11, whichever one. And I speak on the primordial beings that the Native Americans claim it took their bodies, because they didn't have souls, to become giants, stone giants, ice giants, all kinds of stuff. And they said that it was always the primordial beings who had the ability to, to become these things, over any kind of regular person. Whereas normally, for a man to turn into an ice giant or something like that, he has to be evil. He has to commit an unforgivable act. And that was that, and that's just the Native American lore to it. Now, the reason why, once again, I had to read that to you is because I'm going to skip all the way forward, right? Verse 15. And the acts of Rehoboam, the first and the last, behold, are they not written in the book or words of Shemaiah the prophet and Addo the seer with his achievements? Now stop right there. The reason why this is so important is because Addo the seer, a seer is a prophet. Okay, that's a play on words right there. They're both known as being the one and the same. For Addo to be called a seer as opposed to a prophet, it would tell you of the environment that he was in. Maybe the environment he was in called them seers and not prophets. Now, the reason why this is so important, because once again, I've never read the book of Shemaiah, never even heard of the book of Shemaiah, let alone the book of Addo or Addo. So, because I've never read either one of these books, and neither one of these books are actually mentioned any further ever in the Bible, it would behoove all of us that when we are reading the scripture that we pay very close attention. I just told you about 2 books that are not in the Bible, and neither one of them is no Jasher or no damn what is it, Josephus? Okay, nope, none of that. The book of Shemaiah and Addo. Who knows whose other actions that these guys actually documented and kept track of. Now let's just get back to the symptom of living, how this right here relates. Rehoboam, who he was evil. Rehoboam got to, in his day, we can assume he met troglodytes or troglodytes. We can assume he met them, seen them. Now, once again, for them to be a named race, that means that they've established themselves, right? And they have a place where in which they come from or which they seed. That's the point I'm getting at. And they have a genetic code and a genetic sequence that responds to that. And they have a phenotype or physical appearance that is in direct correspondence to their genetic code. Can you dig it? And this, my friends, is what makes it so. I mean, who's ever read that to you? Who's ever discerned that to you? That there's a book of Shemaiah and a book of Adam. Who's ever read to you that troglodytes are in the Bible? Okay, then. This is why it's so important. We must take our times to look for the symptoms of life and understand that that is not just a simple happening. There is a reason for this. There is a cause for this. It is with a saddened mind and a heavy heart that I say to people, we're all not the same. I believe that more than probably almost anybody did. Why go so hard about not believing it? We are not the same. We are not the same. Not as our dark-skinned foes, nor as our dark-skinned allies. We are not the same. Some of us may be similar to our so-called cousins and whatnot, but most of those people bear no actual genetic relation to us. Very little. Almost untraceable, as people would say. And because it's untraceable and it can't be found, on that level and merit alone, it should be looked at and taken into consideration in a very specific way. The symptoms of living. Symptoms. Like your knee hurting because it just wants to hurt. Because arthritis runs in your family. I don't know. Yes, sister. I'm so glad you are catching on to what I'm saying. I've been saying this for a very long time. I've exactly what you just said, almost verbatim. I've said that verbatim. Exactly what your question is. I've said that verbatim. Yes, they are very distinct, different types. I'm gonna have to create a folder. I'm gonna have to go into all my pictures and pull out the different ones because I've shown you guys the differences before. But now that it just came to you like that, I would really love to show it to you. And I might do something tomorrow when I get off of work because it's an early game tomorrow. So I might just come home, search through my little folders, pick out about 20 or 30 pictures because I got a crap ton of them. Pick out about 20 or 30 of like the highest quality ones, and then stress the heck out of the situation. If there's several different types of natives, sister, who are black, outside of all the other non-black Native Americans, if there's black natives who are different by genetic category. That means that when they mixed those people up, they were blood mixing them too. You see what I'm saying? This is why you have the slave revolts that you do before the African American man, so called, is in mass in America. Because in 1739, let's just say that they really started enslaving people in 1619 here, right? Let's just say. Now let's just go based on some of the stuff that, because some of them try to claim that the 1650s is when they really try to, pick stuff up. We know that's bullshit. But look, I'm gonna go as far back as 1597. And in 1597, they had very few blacks here. Okay, 100 years later, even if they were still bringing these dudes all across the water, it still would only been, I'll say there's 4, maybe 5 generations that would go by, thousands of more people. The number of black men it would have taken to revolt in such a violent fashion and to not have continued such makes me believe that these black people were not all the same. And it makes perfect sense as to why they couldn't get, as to why all blacks weren't in on that stuff. Because some of them had and still have a complete spirit of submissiveness. Some of them have so much of the Canaanite blood coursing through their veins that they can't help but to be subservient. It is what it is. It is what it is. And this is just a symptom of living. That we're going to have people who look similar to us or look like us who are not us, nowhere close to us. They're nowhere close to you. There's a better chance that there's more white or mixed looking people who are more related to you than there are some of these booty face, dark skin looking things. Where you're like, yeah, we look more similar. Hell, even some of our features are more similar. Some, but this guy's missing one of the most major things that would make him very much like my people. And this other guy has this thing that would make him like my people if he had other qualities to his character that would make him me, i.e. his skin tone, i.e. the way his hair is formed, the way it forms, the way it grows. But because that's not the case, one cannot presume that. It's dangerous, y'all. What right now? What you're embarking on is a dangerous journey because when you start making the clear notion that this is one kind of black, this is another 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 kind of black, you're gonna have people who feel some type of way because now we're not the same. Now we're not the same. Now we're not the same. Now it's like, okay, well, who are these guys? Who are these guys? You know what I'm saying? It makes you think that. Who are these people? You have to ask yourself that. You have to at least wonder it. It has to make a person wonder, well, through all the symptoms of living, what caused or what could bring about genetics that are recessive from people who only exhibit dominant traits even when they're not full of people. And that's right, sister. They will hate you evermore. They will hate me evermore. JP Hope 71 will be hated ever more because of it. Not going to love him. They're not going to embrace him But once again, though, how are people going to attach themselves to you if you're not separated from them? If you already don't do differently and act differently than they do. I tell y'all what, I appreciate you guys way more than you will ever know. I'm telling you, I'm so serious right now. And that's just another symptom of living: humility, gratitude, thankfulness, grace, compassion, and mercy. It has been an honor. Let me tell you that it has been an honor sharing with you things that go through my mind every day, things that don't always go through my mind every day, things that are in my heart and in my soul that as a man make me think and act differently every day. It has been a glorious honor to have come into the cyber presence of such wonderful people. Um, the way you guys seek after the Most High is admirable. What you do is admirable. How you live your life is probably much more admirable than you think. I'm sure it is. Uh, and this is motivation. I appreciate y'all just for giving me your time. You know, appreciate when people watch them later. I appreciate everything that people do. I really do. I am not a non-appreciative person. I have my moments of ungratefulness, as do many people or all people, based on circumstances. But I'm never so lost in my mind that I can't accept what it is that's going on. And I accept everything that I'm going through. I accept my life on all the terms and conditions because they are symptoms of living. To wake up early in the morning because I just don't want to lay down no more, or wake up early in the morning thinking about my son and how my life would be different if I was probably in his life, or is this a blessing that the Most High doesn't have me in his life, or is this punishment? What is it? I know that I'm living through a symptom of a decision, symptom of living. And it's easy for me as a person now to say, aha, this is why I'm going through what I'm going through. And then I try to isolate it to these specific things, or for me to be even more honest with myself and say, you know what? I'm going through what I'm going through, and that's what I'm going through. And I have to live with that. I have to accept it, you know, and know that every day is going to be a battle on its own terms. And I can either accept those symptoms of living or not. And I am very ecstatic that you are motivated by your younger brother. I am very ecstatic by that. Very, very, very appreciative. But yeah, y'all, I'm worn out. You know, I'm worn out. I want black people to just listen. If I could just get their ear for 5 minutes about any one subject, they would want to come and listen to something again. But because I can't even get their attention, you know, and they feel as if everyone else rates their attention because people are catering and pandering to their feelings. Once again, this is a symptom of living. It's a symptom of life for people to believe that individuals who mean them no good all of a sudden mean them good now. It's like I always say, they 60 years ago or 50 years ago, They gave us on paper now, mind you, a soul, right? And they allowed you to be human for the first time in their minds. After being in this country for, at that point, well over 300 years, and they still weren't humans yet, still didn't have souls. Yeah, and we're supposed to just act as if now that we have fucking souls and now that we're humans, that everything else that they've done is okay. That the symptoms of the harsh reality that we lived is is simply just that. It's just a harsh reality. It's nothing more. That could have happened to anyone, but it hasn't. It hasn't. It hasn't. You have guys who have slaves now who make sure that their form of slavery will never get anywhere close to the level of brutality of the white man. They make sure of that. And these are people with white skin. And you know it's bad when people with white looking skin, i.e., Spaniards and Middle Eastern guys, all versions of them. You know it's bad when they say that they don't like white people. You know it's bad then. But this is just one of the symptoms of us being on Earth. We can't escape these things. What up? What up, Andre? How you doing, bro? But it's just a symptom. It's a formality of being here. Doesn't mean that it's a good thing. Doesn't always make it a bad thing, but you should be aware of what they are. Because white people have forced themselves upon us. One of the symptoms is that black men, regardless of their genus class, and black women, regardless of their genus class, will forego what is all natural sense and give children and take child from people who would have just, once again, they didn't even say you had souls. They didn't even see you as humans. And yet they would willingly amalgamate with these people. I don't know. Why would I want to breed into the bloodline of people who just victimize my people? And then why would I want them to be able to be bred into mine? Doesn't even make sense. No matter how you put that, none of it makes sense. You know, um, just really kind of, really just kind of sad. Uh, it's really, I mean, it's really sad when you think about it. Me and Andre Wickham were talking about something the other day where, people have all these mixed kids and they don't even look black. And we're talking like these are brothers and sisters having the kids, and their babies don't even look black. Like, how is that? How does your child not even look black at all? And then their children go and have children with non-black people. The babies really aren't black, and yet not suspect to nobody. Not don't make nobody think twice. Nothing. Um, I just think it's weird. You know, I just think it's weird. As Andre says, "Yep." I just think to myself of all the black men and all the black women that I'm talking about. Listen, y'all, I'm gonna be at a bunch more baseball games selling food. I'm gonna get to see a whole bunch more of the swirling babies, the mamzer abomination baby things, and I'm gonna get to be able to see their moms and their dads' faces. Most of the time, it's like you would just be surprised how ashamed these black people are of themselves. It's like they go out of the way to not make eye contact with you. They go out of the way to keep it pushing by you. The black women who have their head in the clouds, who think that their little baby is so pretty whenever they walk by, and I just look away. I just look away. I try not to look too angry. Every once in a while, I just look pissed off, and they can just tell that I'm not happy with their life decision. I have seen this several times now this season alone already, where a black chick and her white man will go in, and on the way in, she was walking closest to me, right? And I might have looked once again, looked away, or just made a look of disgust. That sent, I mean, you send strong messages when you do that. Strong, powerful messages when you do that. You understand? And the reason why it's such a powerful message is because you're telling people, I'm not going out. I'm not going out. It's it's too hard being black as it is. You know, it is. It's way too hard. It's way too challenging to be a black man. It's another thing when you breed people in who now they don't look nothing like you, but they run around telling everybody that they are you. It's even worse when they kind of look like you and they go around and do the same thing as well. A prime example is a guy like J. Cole. Once again, he gets to call himself black, but your mom is white. So why don't you just call yourself mixed? You see the diabolical nature of the white man saying that one drop of Negro blood makes you a Negro? That's why that shit is dangerous. Because now all of a sudden, a fucking mulatto can be your representative. Because they're like, oh no, he's just as black as you are. Wow. Or like when I was reading that part to you guys from the book White Trash, where the dude tried to say, and even though Obama's African, the dude tried to say that Bill Clinton was every bit as black as Barack Obama. This is coming off the lips of a fucking colored itself. It's the worst thing in the world. It is the worst thing in the world. I'm I'm not exactly sure how to put it in any other terms. Give me one moment, sister, because it just dawned on me. I might be able to do something about those pictures right now, or at least set the tone right now. I don't know, y'all. I'm just scratching my head. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, what do I say? What do I do? How do I get black people to see that they're not the same as these other people? They're just not. I'm talking about other dark-skinned, so-called black people. How do you get them to accept that? How do you get them to say, who am I to tell them that you're a what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? How do you tell somebody some bullshit? Pretty much, in so many words. How do you tell them some bullshit? You know, I don't know. I I mean, I'm wanting for black people to just be like, you know what, Demetrius, I'll give it a chance, bro. The next time the next 100 black people I look at, right? I'm gonna look at them. I'm gonna really put my eyes on them and say, you know what? They really don't look as black as I thought they did. Damn his curls are awfully loose, right? I had the Mexican dude tell me this weekend. I said, man, your hair grows straight. He said, no, it doesn't. I said, yeah, it does. He said, it grows curly. He said, maybe not as tight as your curls, but curly. Now understand, all people know that black people hair is curly. All people know this. All people know this. Okay? Now, the reason why he even put the emphasis is his curls aren't as tight as my curls, because he knows curls come from black people. Now, when I told him that you probably are part black, the eighth black, he didn't want to hear that. I said, dude, I've yet to see anybody else on earth with curly hair, naturally reoccurring. That's not black. I have yet to see it in a population of people. I have I have yet to see it in a population of people. I've never seen a curly haired Native American. Never in my life. Never in my life. Then you start having curly haired Mexicans, so they started breeding with the blacks, the African blacks, the Gentile black things. The Gentile black things specifically being the curly haired Aboriginals. And then when you throw black Negro, that they called us, the Negro slave, the Negro slave, right? Okay. Our people, black people, have got to give it a chance. That maybe this dude's not tripping. Black people will they have a hard time listening to me as it is. I know I'm rough around the edges. I get that. And I understand that. But as rough around the edges as I am, I've always come 100% at you. 100%, well, whatever it is, I'll always come correct about it. Even if what I'm saying ain't exactly nice, I still come correct about it. So a symptom of living, one of your symptoms, one of your following this video, a symptom of the rest of your life should be you examining people with your two eyes and saying, who am I looking at? Earlier, I was talking about the genetic structure, genome, the code, or codons, and how exactly these things right here work, or just because I know how they work. I didn't want to get all carried away because letters don't mean anything. It could be any letters within the genome sequence, right? It's that's not important. What's important is understanding that these letters in the genome sequence, when they're put together a certain way, they equal a specific result. So if a person, once again, has a dominant genetic to have dark skin, their parent with fair skin already had a recessive genetic for darker skin. And let's say that this person is also aware, the more fair skinned person is also aware of their ancestry, and they know that they have black Aboriginal or black Native American or black African, or what I call the American black in their blood. The reason why you guys are like, well, what's the difference between the African and, well, I believe that most of the dudes who call themselves Africans now are Middle Earth or Gentiles. But I have to distinguish that they're Middle Earth Africans, and then there's actual Hamites. See what I'm saying? Just like there's Gentiles on the islands, but then there's also Japhetites, and the Japhetites are the the genetic fathers of most Gentiles. The Japhetite bloodline is how the Gentiles bred into the Adamite bloodline to begin with. So when people, once again, if people can't accept that, then I'm not just talking to myself, but now I've used valuable time that I could have used for anything else, and that's always going to be unfortunate. That's never going to be a good thing that you lost time. You know, I don't see how it could ever be. I don't see how needing to tell people that we're different is a good thing. I need to tell us this. It's not like I want to tell. I need to. I have to. I am spiritually compelled to not stand by and not do nothing. I just can't. I can't do it. I won't. I won't. I won't. I don't have the same motivations for things like I used to. Like I was telling y'all earlier, I pretty much let a brother put my whole my whole idea for just wanting a business that I could call as my own business, almost let a brother derail that for me because I got to really believing that I shouldn't want that. That I shouldn't want to be able to take care of myself. I was really like, you guys gotta understand, like, like I take people at their word, and if I respect you, if I don't, even if I don't like what you're saying, I'm still gonna take it into consideration. And when I consider something that when I look back at it, I'm like, okay, that actually is that's poorly or ill conceived by this person for whatever reason. I have to say to myself that I would like to believe that they know better or that they knew better and that they're just not acting upon their better mind. But sometimes we just have to also tell ourselves that people are wicked, they're evil, and they don't have the same intended ideas that you do. You know, some people don't give a damn about what you give a damn about. Right on? Symptom of living. Another crazy one is because you have a little bit of money, you go around and you call other people names that you shouldn't call them. And I'm not saying you guys in particular, you is figurative. So understand when you hear me say shit like that, I'm not actually, once again, unless it applies to you, I'm not even talking to you, not talking about you, nothing. I'm just speaking so that way you can hear the words. However, Black people have for far too long given in and given over all the things that they have. You know, I refuse. Once again, I refuse as a Black man to give up on you guys. I refuse. Even if y'all give up on me one day, I'll never give up on y'all. Ever. Ever. Sister, you could not have said it better. That's exact. Me and my dad were talking, and I said something just like that. I was like, a person can't persevere if they don't have anything to persevere with, and that's exactly what it is. And thank you, sister, for I I just want the ability to be able to operate. Success is the ability to operate. That's success. Even if I don't make a damn dollar, and I know that wouldn't be the case, you know, but that's how it is. You know, this is this has been a very, very, very blessed of a journey. Man, I cannot put in words. This is it. Nobody can take this from me. You see what I'm saying? Like they snatch my son from my hands. They can't just take this from me. They have to kill me. You see, because I have the ability to actually fight this one out. You got to duke it out. So, ah, ah. So yeah, when you've lost all that's important to you, as far as what's livable in this world, all the other stuff just kind of just like becomes unimportant. And this is when I say what I do here is the most important thing that I do. No, you're right. You're right, sister. I mean, I've always worked for myself in a sense that uh anything I do is for me, but it's just best to just have the ability to actually make your own money, you know. That's right, sister. That's right. That's right. That's all it takes. Is just having enough, you know. But like I was saying though, this is everything to me. When I say this is everything to me. And so I'm not gonna give up on my brainchild. You see what I'm saying? I can't. But I have stopped doing what I said I was gonna do. I've stopped just producing wells of information from people to go into and to take from and to manipulate information that they normally would not even have skimmed. They wouldn't have even read it themselves. And then now they feel the ability to just take it and make it different. I won't do that. I won't produce work that I feel is my work and then another person tries to take my work and make it their work. And they haven't done the research nor put the time in to understand what it is that I'm understanding. If they understand it already and it takes them no time, shit, power to them. But if they've been using 10 years, 15 years, and they still don't get it, then I'm just saying that that person needs to, obviously take a couple of considerations from other folk. One of the biggest issues with Black people is that they don't consider what other people say. They only go based on what they know. They don't care about nothing else. I care about what the word says. If the if the word says something and the context of what's being spoke on is in a form of an absolute, there will never be a moment that a person can be like, oh no, that's a lie. A case in point, the word says, do not eat the blood or fat of animals. Ironically, thousands of years later, should get you sick, clog your arteries, all kinds of stuff. So this thing is funny that people don't look at this. They don't say, okay, well, that is what it is. But that's how I look at it, is that if it can't be denied, then it must be true. It must be. If what's being said doesn't go against the scripture that I just heard, that means that it's either in support of something else within scripture, or this is entirely something brand new. Now, the reason why I say something brand new is it being new normally makes it wrong. Normally, in my mind, it's pretty much wrong if it's something new and I can't confirm it anywhere in scripture because it has no foundation. And everything that I believe within scripture has a foundation. Everything. Um, some people have the ability to believe anything and everything that they hear, believe any and everything that they read, and not question a piece of it. Other people have the ability to never listen, to never read. Therefore, they never learn anything anyway. And they live their life. And sure, you could have never read the Bible and drive and own a Lamborghini, but you may have done things that the Bible has told you not to do that is worth killing you over. It's worth taking your life for. And there's a lot of people who just don't want to hear that. You know, a lot of people who just can't take that. That's what we're living with. The symptoms of living come with so many different little symptoms. You have to recognize that that's not a normal happening. That is a symptom of this world. That would not normally happen. A symptom of this world right now are mixed race couples. That's a symptom of this society and of this system. There's a time when tribes didn't even get together with other tribes. And these people look like them. So, let alone a tribe that looks nothing like them, are they going to give their sons and daughters to so that way these people can make them look differently? No, that sounds absolutely insane. That sounds absolutely insane. You know, I just want y'all to understand they've bred black people to believing that the rape of the black woman was consensual on her behalf. They've got you to believe that the black man was a coward and did nothing while this took place. Yet there were runaway slaves for all kinds of reasons. Yet not one of the reasons could have ever been the fact that a black man was trying to protect his black woman. So therefore now here we are as a symptom of that, symptomatically, it has caused a rift of trust between the black man and black woman, symptomatically even more. We have record numbers of black men, and I'm calling you out, black man, of black men sleeping outside. And as much as I want to bash black women, their biggest offense is not marrying the white man, no, or even giving him children, which some of them do. No, it's playing the whore in the game of harlot. That is most of their serious offense. And they played whore for whoever had the most money. They played whore for who had top dollar. And that, and that, and that, my friends, has caused for other symptoms to step the fuck on it. Rap music is a symptom of living in this country. Now understand that rap music was not the first music that slaves or black people made. And it could have very well have been what you call rhythm and poetry. Could have very well have been that. However, because it wasn't, it was blues. You could even argue countryish type music, folky, soul, almost gospel type music as their original symptom of living here. And we've heard the levels of the pain of the black man and the black woman throughout the generations of them expressing themselves through the music. And each generation, it gets more dire, more drastic. And the generation that was born before me, it came to a climax when they invented what is called gangster rap. And gangster rap exposed on so many different levels the socio-economic issues that are corrupting and corrosive to the black community. They then went on to go and explain, once again in the same demonstrative music, how their communities have become nothing but cesspools for violence, drug activity, and vice. While many people overhear and overlisten to music to just listen to the so-called beat that is played upon, many of the people will overhear what is being said about the detriment of the environment wherein which these people seed from. The symptoms of living have made the black man and the black woman like this. Black man was not some monster. Whether he was the Aboriginal who was here, the Aboriginal in Australia, New Zealand, or the blacks that, hold on, did not sell the other blacks, but the blacks that were sold. He was not a savage running from lions, tigers, and bears. No, he was not. It's a travesty. At best, it's a travesty that the symptoms of living have turned into a disease all on its own. It's a travesty that Black people will never say to themselves, why is it that this Black man does not look like me? Why does he not think like me, act like me? Why? And because Black people fail to do such things, to even give themselves a chance, to stand a chance, is why they will never stand a chance. It's why they'll never have anything. This is why. It's not because they're not hardworking. It's because the symptoms of being in this country have overridden all natural sensations to act otherwise. Symptom of living in this country tells you that if you bide your time long enough, right, and wait for an opportunity, I didn't say there's a good opportunity, but wait for an opportunity to come, you can capitalize on said opportunity. Now, with that said, though, this is a symptom of living. It'd be much like how some guys figured out that I don't have to sell dope. I just have to let the guys who sell the dope sell all the dope, and then I go rob them. Kind of like those guys. Symptom of living. Now, does anybody want to hear that per se? Not exactly. I'm not saying I don't care that they don't want to hear that, but I have to share that with them. Because there's too many Black people who believe things that are not true. Once again, a Black man could not have been both docile, right? And at the same time, motherfucking violent. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. I cannot stress to you enough. When somebody calls you as vindictive as the Indian, comparing your mindset to theirs, comparing the fact that it would have been a comparison of a Black man to an Indian in this particular case, and then to compare another kind of Black person, and in their comparison, say that they were totally peaceable. Hold on one moment, to go as far as to say that these are only 2% of the criminals who are actually committing crimes as Blacks. The blue black gum and the red gum Negro. No, I know that y'all don't want to hear it. These tarmac black things are not your people. For the most part, they're not. Because if I can show you right now pictures of Aboriginals who look more like them than you look like them, you're probably not going to have much to say. All I'm saying is this, y'all. I don't know everything. And I know for a damn fact I don't. But everything it is that I think I know, I'm willing to stand on that. I'm willing to go to the grave on. I'm willing to go to the grave on that. These old men can't speak like that because they don't have that kind of fervor anymore. I want to live, but I don't want to live so damn bad that I'm afraid to die. Do I want to die right now? No, not just yet. Still busy, still on a mission. But do I want to live forever? Not on a planet with this kind of environment. No, there's no way. There's no way. See, because I don't buy into things. Like if I was and a little 2015, 2016, 2017 Dodge Charger, Chevy Camaro type stuff, you know what I mean? In debt, trying to pay the car off, but it looks cool. So I look cool, you know. Then play the game where you tell chicks that you have money, but you have them give you spend a little bit of your money, but and then you have them give you their money. Right on. Not that. No, 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 none of that. So I've just been around, y'all. I've just been around. That's all. 1 second. So because I've been around, there's certain things I'm not gonna entertain. You know, I'm just not. I appreciate y'all. Once again, it's highly important that you recognize that you're dealing with black people who are all not the same. I spoke to my father today. I said, Dad, I said, regardless if it's my great, 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 I said, however many grandmas back is an Irish white woman. I said that on my mama's side, there's the Indian woman. I said, regardless of all that, the men still look enough like the people. The men were still enough of the people that generations in and later, now here I am. Now I always ask myself, what are the chances that I'm not a white guy or Asian or whatever, Hispanic, Islander, whatever? What are the chances? What are the chances that I'm a Demetrius Antoine Jones and brown skin, bearded and afroed up? What are the chances that I look kind of like the people that they claim are Israelites? And then even more so, what are the chances that I have discovered what are already things that are already written within scripture right in front of us? When I say discovered, meaning that I read it differently. Noah's sons being triplets. If you guys really could grasp how huge that is, it would be game changing. Game changing. Game changing. Once again, what are people going to do when they wake up and realize that they've been making whoopee with a part demon, half demon thing, or a full-fledged one? Huh? What are they going to do then? What are they going to do when their babies are half and part demon? Right. Just one of those things. I love me too much to do that now. I said that on Ron Will's channel a few weeks ago when he was talking about the Donald Glover thing, Childish Gambino or whatever, the whole "This Is America" nonsense. And he was talking about the fact that Donald Glover has a white wife or whatever, white baby mama. And it's like, on that pretense alone, Donald Glover is not qualified to speak on the black struggle. Because the black struggle is no longer real for him. It's not. I don't give a fuck what he says. It's no longer a struggle for you, bro. Sure, you might go places and get treated unfavorably from time to time, but you can go and be in communities just because of your wife that have no black people in them. You can go places where you never see black people or people of color because of that. And that's what makes the black man who dates out, who marries out and gives his babies to the other people's, this is his issue that he has to contend with. I met this dude. I got to read this book he gave me. So I'm going to take it out my backpack just so that way I don't forget. But it's about his daddy. It's a black man, mind you, okay? I'm going to show y'all the cover to the book. The man's daddy is might have been one of the only, like, general. He's a black dude, mind you. His name is Robert L. Stevens. And 1 second. Paul. When in charge, take charge. And the dude's son is a retired lieutenant colonel, infantry officer, black man. Now, what this black man doesn't understand, though, see, because he was just like his daddy, going over all these places, making whoopee with all these so-called exotic women, and then he wifed up one of these exotic women, right? So-called. You know, this man is fighting for her children to be able to be in the country. Where I'm like, if they were actually your children, you wouldn't have to do that. You know what I mean? He's like, they are my kids. And I'm like, no, those are another man's children. You know, I have to remind motherfuckers sometimes exactly what it is that they're doing. Because one of the symptoms that he's going through right now is, once again, he believes the bullshit he was taught in America. He believes it. If you believe what you were taught here, you and I have nothing to talk about. Nothing. Not a thing. That man's father was the first that man's father was the first oh my goodness, what the hell did he do first? I can't think. I have to read it in the book. It's probably in the book. But he did some military stuff. You get what I'm saying? He did some military stuff. That was he was the first guy to do it. And he's and you know, and he's one of the he's one of the few black men that have ever attained the rank of general ever in the army. That man made it to be a 1-star general. You could be like, oh, there's been a bunch of them. No, there have not. And as you can see, no offense to Colin Powell, he's really black. He's not some mulatto mamzer thing, right on, getting to say he's black. Who get to make the white man feel good about himself. Do you know the kind of dedication it takes to become a general? Let alone a black man that's a general? Once again, symptoms of living. Because if that man had taken that same energy that he had to becoming a general within the United States Army and applied it to making black businesses for black people, there would be that much more. But this is what they get to do, though. A symptom of living is that they get to create circumstances where black people who would normally help other black people first, if they're not in a position to. And then finally they separate them long enough from the people that they would normally help to where even these people who would help them at first look at the people who need help as if they're the problem. It's so disrespectful. It's so disrespectful. See me, like I don't have the freaking typical, super duper big hands. My hands are like, my fingers are. I have like what they try to call like the piano hands or whatever, but I don't have super big old, what I like to call the damn plumber hands. And this lady made a statement today. She said, "Yeah, I remember, back when they used to just, men's hands used to be all big and they were all big and strong like." And I almost said something like, "You do know Americans have gotten taller over the last 130 years, 140 years." You know what I mean? I wanted to ask her, but it's like these are all genetic things. People still have those kinds of hands and things like that. People still look like that. They still make big black bucks to this day. Hasn't changed. Um, it's just a symptom of being here. We're in an environment where the circumstances create duress. Within the duress, people make decisions, and these decisions become continuous. Therefore, they become symptomatic, i.e., people who shoot each other. Let's use Chicago, for example. It's a symptom of that environment. It's a symptom. Maryland, Baltimore specifically, it's the same thing. It's a symptom. That is a symptomatic thing you are seeing. That is not who these people are. I have a hard time believing a man that will pay his rent, right? Pay his bills, does what he can to be productive, chooses to want to be a person who the police officers would kill if given the opportunity. You're already black, but they'd kill you anyway. But a drug dealer, stick up kid, pretty much what they call the scourge of society, right? Those kinds of people. People that, once again, law enforcement would not hesitate to deal death to. These people have to choose to be them based on circumstances. And then once again, these circumstances create these happenings. These happenings become constant. Therefore, they're symptoms of the circumstance. I'm not saying that dropping off crates of money is going to fix everything. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that dropping off expensive silks and diamonds and jewelries are going to make less people are going to make people less vain and desire these things less. I can't say that. I can say this though. If you choose to create circumstances that allow, even in a bad environment, for a person to make better choices, they will make better choices. If you allow a person a chance to survive while suffering, so that way they don't have to surrender their dignity as a human being, they will suffer because they haven't surrendered their dignity. But once a person has their dignity hampered or abridged, all bets are off. All bets are off. I'm putting together a still frame movie right now. Well, you know what I mean. And it's for Operation Longshot. And it's just to try to touch on the innumerable number of projects And how sometimes when we're reading, we may not know that that's a project that's taking place. Part of a project embedded within the operation. I respect y'all so much. You guys have no idea. I respect you guys, you know, and you gals. I respect you people, my brothers and my sisters, the stranger and the sojourner alike, and the proselyte. Can you dig it? I respect those people with all my heart and all my soul. And that's why I do this. You know, me and Wavy Ben were on the phone chopping it up before I went, pulled up a little bit of stuff about the genetics, closed my eyes real fast so that way I could actually deliver this without, feeling like I was going to topple over, and just to speak to you. I'm looking forward to it also, sister. I'm looking forward to it also. I really am. Um, you're talking about, once again, the Most High just closed his eyes and was like, go deep and just put one up. Not pigskin, though. You know what I'm saying? Just not the pigskin. But he was like, go deep. Go deep. And I know people be like, why do you think it's something like that? Why do you think it's this long shot? Because when we read what's happening, some of these instances are new instances, and they're not isolated when they were introduced. So we have to understand that because it's not introduced within regular biblical scriptures, that in the days of Jared, the angels fell, or the watchers fell and came down, that it's not mentioned. I'm not sure. I'd have to get the book of Enoch now and actually look for it to see if it talks about when deity worship was introduced after the flood. There's a reason why the Most High's presence, his yearning to be worshipped was so high. He went from I own this is my planet for sure, mine's, to the angels pull the whoopie wop commandeer, right? And does he crush and kill and destroy everybody and everything? No. It's called mercy. It's called mercy. So when y'all hear the parable that the Messiah gives to the people about the farmer who goes to sleep and the enemy came and planted tares amongst the wheat, right? And you don't tie into go automatically way back to the first human creations. Are they not wheat? Is the first man without a soul not wheat? Somebody tell me he's not, so I can call you a liar. The Most High God bred in the first man creation. He bred them in maternally to make sure his first creation's bloodline would make it through to being part of the normal bloodline we all are. We're all part first creation, at least. And then we're all part Middle Earth, at least. If we were more Adamite, we would live longer. Holy shit. Don't nobody want to hear the basic truth. It's basic. We have floating in our DNA, floating in our bodies, the Most High Spirit that he never meant for us to have. So now we're stuck like Chuck. Did I say it was right? No, I did not. The Most High said, you know what? I have so much faith in human beings. Yea, my creation, that I know, even if I let them live on this planet with wicked devils, they're going to eventually overcome. And by overcome, I mean they're going to eventually find their way to me. See, the Most High, he's so, man, I mean, he's so deep. His ways are so profound. Pangea is in the Bible. To divide the earth. Listen, to divide the earth means only one thing. The only implication is that the earth was not divided before this. How can I separate you if the landmass is actually not separated? Right. How can I disperse you from one another? I can't, because you can just get back together. So we break up the land and then we disperse you amongst the land. While the land is being opened up, those who were blocked within caverns and tunnels within the earth, those taverns and those caverns and tunnels are opened up now because of the Tower of Confusion and that sin that was. Now, a person can say, hey, you're wrong, bro. You're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. But the one thing that gives me a little juice in that area is the fact that in the same very chapter of the Tower of Confusion, it says that all the earth was one race and there was one lip of all. Wow. Wowzers. And then when you read how long these guys were living until this happened, they were living many more hundreds of years. And it was like a drastic drop in the life expectancy just occurred. That was the introduction of Middle Earth blood into the Adamite bloodline once again. Another strong pulse and surge of it. Deity worship was not normal to this planet. It wasn't normal to this planet until after they came from Middle Earth. Were what you would call a Gentile, pre-flood things went into the middle of the planet. And understand, anything that went into Middle Earth was more than likely from royal blood. Top level warriors, top level mages, top level everything. They weren't sending poop booty general population into the fucking middle of the planet. Those were royal blooded people. Then whatever went down there, whatever warring went down there, it came all the way back up to the top of the planet. They haven't stopped fighting each other. They haven't stopped. They're still beefing it out. And they're not going to stop until they're able to pull their underground armies, their Middle Earth armies on top of the planet, and then to try to make real power plays. Anyway, man, I'm not even going to get carried away with that. But just know that if you're going to look at something, you have to tie together everything you know about it. Understand, I tied together Old Testimony with the New Testimony all the time. I could tie together what the Messiah says right there about the people, about the tare amongst the wheat. Then I could skip to the book of Jude, right, and talk about when the angels of heaven left their habitation, right, and now those guys are in chains, right, until the great day of judgment. Then I could even go back to a guy like Paul, who says, "Thou wert a wild olive tree, grafted in to the olive tree." And you know what I'm saying? To partake of its fatness. Grafted being his key word. Now, once again, for a man to know what graft means, right? To pretty much splice you on in there. For him to know what that means thousands of years ago, that's a scientific implication. And that still falls in line with the fact that there is tare amongst the wheat. I could jump all over the Bible and keep putting stuff together. Just jumping all over. Because I read it and I take it into deep consideration. It means something. The Most High wouldn't tell us this if it meant nothing. Don't nobody want to hear about God, whatever God it's supposed to be. whatever the Most High is supposed to be. They don't want to hear about that. They want to hear about how can I make the most money right now in Babylon? How can I get the most chicks to like me? How can I get the most men to like me? How can I get a big house? How can I get a fancy car? Once again, regular people aren't the ones who are having contact with them. Shamans, mages, once again, top level mages right now are these people. And once again, a symptom of them talking to these people or these things, these whatever the fuck they are in the middle of the planet, they might seem stupid, but how stupid are white people if they all play the same game of I didn't own any slaves, no matter how rich or poor they are? How stupid are you? Once again, don't let an act, right on. They're morons. They're function. Many of them are morons. Okay, but this is because they're not humans. Can you dig it? So you're comparing the functionality of a person who's impersonating a human being to that of a real human being. They're not the same. They'll never be the same. They'll never seem the same. That's why they think we're so stupid, because we'll never do what they do. And only until they get around you do they realize, holy shit, you're actually very intelligent. They don't know. They don't know. But the highest levels of them are dealing with those that live in the planet. Anybody else, at best, is a potential vessel for disaster. There's no way of telling how many of these guys who have committed these school shootings, who are, these teenagers, there's no telling how many of these guys were into the dark arts. There's no telling. And you think the FBI is going to tell you that this dude was making pentagrams and shit like that? Hell no. Hell no. They're going to give you the rest of it. They're going to make him seem like he's mentally ill, but they're not going to make him seem like he's demonically possessed. Right. And what's worse is that people only talk about demons and angels, but there is a buffer. There's something in between them. It's called the host. Can you dig it? Host is not an angel per se. There's I guess you could claim that they're a type of angel. They're in the heavenly order, but I don't consider them angels because they're not called angels. You know what I'm saying? A host is a host. Can you dig it? I have a hard time believing, once again, that the Most High means something interchangeable. And say watcher, and once again, people would be like, "Oh, the watchers are also." And once again, this is a different kind of. It's not the kind of angel that you're thinking. Right on. This is why they're not called watchers when they come down and mate with the daughters of men, because at that point they're not watchers anymore. They've broken whatever the barrier was. They broke that. So they went from being the watcher to just being a regular angel. Notice that the word host, just like the word angel, is lowercase. Only time it's ever capital is whenever it starts like that. So of course, sister, you're absolutely right. My dad was saying something like he thinks the school shootings are to help push a plan for people to homeschool their children. It's very logical when you think about it. Very, very logical. To what degree they want people homeschooled, I'm not sure. But if they want to homeschool people, then I'm sure there's a plan at stake. You know what I mean? Or if whatever the reason is, however it is, it's something diabolical. It's not good. That much I feel in my heart and my soul. Many people, once again, they don't have the ability to reach. I'm not even going to say overreach, but to reach into. I'm not sure if it's for. Yeah, You could you could say that for them to homeschool, but I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You know, what if they want black people to homeschool their children so that way they know where all the black people are at almost all times? I don't know. You know, I'm not really sure. That's why I'm saying like I have to see it develop because it hasn't developed enough. Um, um, I want y'all to think about something. Place like Chicago, place like Detroit, place like Baltimore. Why do you think there's no school shootings cracking off like that in places like that? It's not just because there's a bunch of little young ass kids carrying guns, right? It's because those places aren't where they're trying to affect. You know, not to mention all the places, all the cities in California, you know, that just because it's not as bad as the worst city in California, people don't think it's bad, but man, it's getting bad everywhere, you know. Um, Washington is, I mean, I could argue it's the most dabbered down state there is. It's pretty soft out here. So that's why other guys come out here and act so tough. But anyhow, these school shooting stuff like that. I mean, once again, that's a symptom, the symptoms of living. They've created these scenarios, they've created the circumstances where what are the chances, y'all? We're talking about in the last 3 or 4 years, there's been so many school shootings, it's like it's hard to keep track of them. You know, at first they were so rare they never happened. Now they're like all the time. You know what I mean? They're like all the time. See, that's that nonsense right there. That's that nonsense. That's that nonsense. They had a school shooting here a couple of years ago, right before this major vote on like these gun laws or whatever. Right after the school shooting, you guys know what happened. You know what I mean? It is crazy. It is crazy when I think about this stuff. Like they do it on purpose. You know what I mean? They do it all on purpose. There is no way that they don't do it on purpose. Man, it's a symptom, you know, and even more so outside of the fact that it's a symptom, I I don't have to claim it's MK Ultra because I know it's MK Ultra. You know, see, for people to really know what mind control does to you, to understand how frequencies affect you, to understand how a Rolling Rock or Pabst Blue Ribbon or Henry Weiner Private Reserve or whatever the heck it is that you drink, Budweiser, Bud Light, 211, OE, if you don't drink, water, whatever, right? There's all these things, once again, that they put at, micro levels, super small levels, where 1 in 2 million will be affected by this. 1 in 100 million will be affected by this. But they do it to so many different things that they're affecting millions of people at a time. Now they know that they're not going to be able to activate all of these people all at once because it would obviously something would seem wrong. But if they tweak the frequency in the radio here, increase the megahertz there, you follow what I'm talking about? Dabber them down here. Make sure that they put a little extra freaking testosterone, liquid testosterone, whatever, inside the chips or the candy. Then you eat that. She eats it. He eats it. Whatever, right? They. It's a very, very meticulous process. And MK Ultra has been happening for so long that people don't think they're victims of it, but yet they are. And we're watching victims of this once again. They are the symptoms of living, because we live in this circumstance, this environment where these symptoms are allowed to thrive. Cancer cannot live in a place where there is a radiation that is fighting against the tumor. The new 5G is that stuff is so wicked. It's so wicked. It's the devil, sister. I mean, you're talking about the electric devil. The electric devil, for sure. It's going to probably be one of their finer feats, one of their finest feats of witchcraft, I'm sure. We have yet to get it. So who knows what it's going to do to people with pacemakers, people with hearing aids, things like that. There's no telling how this is actually going to play out, and I know they're testing it with people with these things now, but it's like everybody doesn't have the highest quality pacemaker. Everybody's body is not the same. So once again, because I'm not emitting the same frequency that you emit, the pacemaker on my body is going to respond differently to the 5G than the pacemaker in your body. One step at a time, brother. One step at a time. That's all you can do, man. You just change one thing at a time, and eventually you'll have changed a lot of things. It took me forever. It probably really took me up until like sometime last year for me to really like come to my senses. Like, I can't talk to chicks who are not my people. You know what I mean? Like, at all. Like, like don't even entertain them. Like, just don't just do business. That's it. You either want a hot dog with cream cheese and onions, or you don't want no cream cheese, or you don't want no onions, or you don't want a hot dog. Okay, peace the fuck out. You see what I'm saying? I've become way more like that over this last year, where I still had, just too many of my friendly ways. Once again, a symptom of living in this environment where all I see is other people who don't look like me all the time. And I've become comfortable around them. Right. Once again, I've become content in this environment. Am I lackadaisical? No. But I had to catch myself. If I had to catch myself like that, it tells you the level of temptation that goes through a person's mind. And this is just me speaking honest. I can't talk for another person. I can't speak for what other people go through. That's probably the hardest thing that I have an issue with, is as a black man not being able to find a black woman that wants to deal with me, and then all these other chicks would love to deal with me. It's like, you know what I mean? Once again, the symptoms of living in this country have created circumstances where people who look similar, who look like us, have the most hampered and the most damaged relationships. Man, bro, people are on Earth. What, you know what I mean? What are you going to close your eyes? It's somebody. It's hard for you to not look at somebody if you think that they're attractive, and then not reason within your own mind that I think they're attractive. It doesn't mean, oh, you were like freaking, committing adultery in your heart. It just means that in my mind, I said, okay, they're attractive. But but to me, that's the little thing, that's small. That's small to a regular folk, and even smaller to a giant. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's not good to look, I guess, or whatever. But it's like, if they're there, they're physically present. As what else can I do? I have to look at these people. Men can't be like, oh, here goes this Brad Pitt looking ass motherfucker walking down the street, and your girl might, look over at him real quick, because you've observed in your head, this man right here is not a bad looking individual. You've made that observation yourself. So in order for anybody to not like for you to look what is right in front of you, where you might have to be looking forward and they just might happen to be in front of you, it's like, it hurts, because it doesn't allow me or you as a man to really, there is a thin line between lust and admiration. There is a very thin line. Yes, you are most definitely right about that, my friend. Most definitely right. I don't. There is no argument from this one. But you are invisible until they're looking at you, until some shit happens, and then they looking for somebody to blame. It's just like that over here with me. You know, I mean, like I live around a bunch of white people, a bunch of them. Washington is a predominantly white state. I live in the only city outside of Seattle that actually has black people in it. And if you were to be technical, you ask anybody in Washington. Seattle's not a black city. There's a bunch of Africans and whatever out there, but like if you had to be like, and I'm not being vulgar, but you know what I'm saying, like the nigga city of Washington, and there is none. There's not one, but the closest one to it is the TAC. It's Tacoma. There's no question. It's hands down. So when I live in the place that's considered the blackest of the state, and I still, the area that I live in is a little nicer, and there's a lot. I mean, when I say there's a lot of white people. Of course, I see black people. Of course, I see black people all the time because we're here, you know. But I see a lot of. I mean, I see white women all the time. I see Asians. I see Hispanics all the time. I see the little mixed babies of all these people all the time. To say that when I'm walking, up and down the street or going wherever, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of people who live in the who are in the military, who will choose to live in Tacoma as opposed to living in one of the more expensive cities. It's close to the freeway. Living in Lakewood depends on where you live. Some places are nice, some places are not so nice. Um, um, but yeah, I totally understand why she lived in Tacoma. I totally understand. It's just what it is. And once again, it's the only kind of sort of place where you kind of be like, okay, there's black people here. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of places where black people are congealed and you feel good. You know what I mean? You feel good to see your people. It always feels good to see your people. That is a symptom of living. It's no different for the Israelites who did things. Any race of people who went somewhere and there was nobody of their distinct culture around, and these guys look similar to one another, and there was no one who believed what they believed around. So when they get around people who believe what they believe, of course they feel more comfortable. Of course, you're gonna feel a lot better. You know. Okay, right on then. Okay, right on. Puyallup is a funny little city. Bunch of white people out there too. Crazy little peckerheads. They can't help themselves. Anyway, this state is I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it's easy for once again for a black woman or for a black man to want to date outside. It's easy. I mean, it's so easy here. And black women are highly sought after by everybody here. So I'm a black guy who I don't believe in shaving, don't believe in cutting my hair. I'm not working. No, honestly, I'm not about to work a job where you want me to do this, you want me to do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go spend all my money on trinkets. I'm not gonna do that. So it's like because there's so many things that I won't do that the young woman in general has been taught outside of the black woman, but the young woman has been taught, and the young black woman has taken it upon herself in her own impression. It's like that. Highly sought after they are out here. So they always they always play like they get to choose. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not into all that. And that is a symptom once again of living. I would love for you guys to just this week notice how many things that you go through are symptoms of living, of the circumstance, because they're perpetuated all the time. You know, this is this is So much fun for me. This is fun. This is enjoyable. Um, it's a blessing. We're able to speak on things, and once again, tie them all together. You know, I'm not sure if you guys notice, I stray away from certain stuff when I speak on certain things. No, I'm not that I don't want to talk about all the black in the world, and not that I did not want to talk about that. But I understand that this ties into all the black in the world. Can you see what I'm talking about? And if I can explain other things around the systems it is that we exist within, it's easier for people to then see where I'm coming from. They do not have to, I do not need you to agree or concur. Just need you to acknowledge and understand. You can come, you'll draw your own conclusions eventually. At some point you have to. But until you do that, I would rather you give yourself the chance that you give to all the other people. You give the other people the chance to tell you things like 1 + 1 is 3. When I understand that the whole concept that two people, when they procreate, they make a baby, and their 2 lives made another life, so that makes 3 lives. I get the logic there. I even understand the illogic of people saying that one object plus the space between plus another object equals 3. I get that. But I also know that if I add one single thing together and another single thing together, it makes it a pair. And a pair is called 2. You see? And until we come to these more drawn out conclusions of the world that have created symptoms that we can't escape, they're inescapable. The wicked deviseth wicked devices. That's that, you know, and they devise them against the poor man, right? Though he speaketh right. So just because you say things that make sense, just because I say something that might make sense or whatever, it doesn't mean that there still aren't people working against you. They're working against you ever more because of that. Because you have sense and they don't want you to have any. They don't want you to have anything. If it was up to them, you wouldn't be able to think for yourself. We are on the verge of being able to really pick from amongst the people who are us and who are not, who are lost and who are not lost. You know, people fail to realize if 2/3 has to go. I want you to think about that. 2/3. That's not including that. That's not talking about the stranger within or the sojourner. You know. Well, I'm glad that Sunday is a good day for that. You know, I try to let this be the day. You know, I don't really have an actual set rest day. You know, but this is the day I normally take it the easiest. I do as least as possible. Um, if I actually knew what the real Sabbath was, even if it is Saturday, because I'm currently forced to work on this. I've had to work on the so-called Sabbath for years and years and years. I don't have the luxury of taking that off. I don't have that luxury. I don't have that ability. That's a symptom of living here. So I I it is a very small number, sister. It's a very small one. You know, I get around other black people. I'm so much different than them that it's like I might as well be the race of Demetrius. You might as well be the race of Tammy. You know, the race of Andre, the race of JP Hope. This is what you have to be. You have to become a whole nother. You want people to emulate you, And inherently, when people emulate you, you're gonna cause envy. Not that you want envy, but if people envy you and you're doing something that is a service to others, and you're doing it from the depths of your soul to be kind, that is that's I mean, for me, it's a beautiful thing. You know, there's guys out there in Seattle who hate me. They know it's not my hot dog stand, right? They know none of it's mine. None of it is mine. Just manage it. But I manage it to such a level that you would think I owned it. Um, I'm gonna say it like this about the Sabbath. Personally, I don't believe that they can't prove that Saturday is the real seventh day of the week. There's no way to prove that. So because they can't prove it, I'm not worried about it. But I do know that I do know that the Most High did make 7 days. I know that the earth is on a 7 day cycle. I know that the seventh day is holy, and I should keep it holy. I don't know what day that is. They've said that it's Saturday now for a long time, but that could easily be because they're worshiping Saturn on Saturday. Saturn being the chief deity of the I want to say the Greek pantheon. However, um, I don't I don't think that you shouldn't or should. I believe if in your soul you've already committed to that, and that makes you feel better in your soul, regardless if the Most High is providing other ways for you to have the money, if He's providing opportunities, and your living circumstances are still equitable, then I feel that you should be able to go ahead and take that Saturday off. Now, I wouldn't work Saturday, bro, if I didn't have to, bro, to be 1,000 with you. But I don't diminish Saturday any more. I just know that I don't know what the seventh day of the week is. I don't know. Um, People are like, it's Saturday, and I'm like, look, dude, it could be what we call Tuesday. It could be Monday. It could be any one of these days. See what I'm saying? And because we don't know what actual day it is, I would rather not uh, get too carried away with with what the Sabbath is or isn't, and attempt one day to do no work, very very little. I'm always thinking about the Most High, but and that moment in particular, and those days in particular, I like to just think about what the people did to the Most High, and what I've done to the Most High, and how I've sinned against Him, and how my actions have hurt His soul, and how I can, do my best to make amends. I feel bad talking about it now, but I'd rather have that out there and voice it than not voice it. There's a lot of brothers who are too big for that. They're too they're too whatever. You know, they're never wrong, and because of that, we're in this situation. You know, somebody asked me how I felt about Kanye the other night, and it was weird because we talked about it. And then my dad, I was just I was just telling my dad, I said, Dad, if we are these Israelite people, and if this Bible is true, that means that those people betrayed the Most High. I said, and in the most polite ways, they said, we're not going to listen. And because of that, we're here now. And if you could have seen the look on my dad's face, like he accepted that, like as hardcore as that sounds, it's like, man, because that's a tough pill. That's a tough pill to swallow. You're talking about the creator of everything. Everything was like, I'm gonna leave you all on your own, and let's see how you fare. Now let's see how you do. Now look at you. And here we are. We're living in the symptoms of living, existing within those circumstances that seem inescapable. And once again, they make them unavoidable. Well, almost, just about, because they put other people in your life who will practice or give rise to the venue for the circumstances to set in, for the symptoms to set in. So you might get away once again and be scathed very little, but then again, somebody else might take all the brunt of that. People have made a living off of making sure that other people don't have anything. People have made a living off of not just oppression, but but and not just hate. It's like manufactured hate. It's fake. And once again, the MK Ultra stuff. And these are the same people who will tell you, once again, I never owned any slaves. I never did this. I never did that. And will tell you that the black man that got gunned down, well, he should have surrendered. Right? Whereas, and I'm talking about in any situation, their first thing is that he should have complied. My first thing for a black man is for him to comply so that way he doesn't get killed. Right? They're thinking, oh, he should have complied because they think that he was being resilient or a rebel or something like that because he's black. Because that's the persona that they've imbued to the people. And therefore, a symptom of that is now we're dealing with folks who believe that all black people are rambunctious and pugnacious and have no coup. That right there, to be considered uncouth by people who exhibited on many different levels their lack of humanity, their lack of restraint and mercy for life is unbelievable. It's unfathomable. But the fact that this is what's happening should tell people what it is that they're dealing with. We're living in a time that will, the earth will never go back to what it was. It's not going back. There are people who are hoping, praying, and wishing. How many black people do you know talking about, man, we just need the Clinton days again. That's all we need, man. Man, we need them Clinton days again. That's how they think. I understand, brother. I do understand. It's easy, man. It's easy to get scared, man. Trust me. It's easy. It's easy to get like that, to have that feeling. As a black man, I don't leave my home very much because once again, I'm afraid of what a person may try to do to me or what I may have to do to someone else just to be able to return home. And I don't mean scared as in, forever in fear. I just mean, like forever weary and leery about like, damn, man, you can't go anywhere, and do anything. What up, Martin? How you doing, bro? And yes, we must endure to the end, which is why people are telling you to not try to get a business, a small one. I'm not telling you to go open a freaking Fortune 500. What up, Ethan Garrett? What up? And I just encourage people just to have whatever they can have, because if at any time a person can walk into the room and tell you that you're fired, That's not job security, dude. You know what I mean? Job security is where your physical, tangible resources for the business have to fail. You have to die or become greatly, injured or gravely sickened in order for this to go down. You know, and I know what that feels like. I'm trying to tell you that is the truth. You know, now when you work in a place where only you can do the job that you're doing, you got that's job security. When you work at a place where you do a high level job amongst other people, regardless of what's going on, that's job security. But once again, when they can walk in and fire you for any old reason, don't need one, can just get rid of you. There's no process to this. That's not an environment you want to be in, because at any given day, you as a black person, you're automatically on the chopping block. Off tops, you're on the chopping block because they're looking at you like can't respect you. You see what I'm saying? All right. And they don't have to. And they don't have to. It's not their job to respect you. See what I'm saying? Man, it's their job to pay you. That's it. And it's your job to do what it is that you're supposed to do in order to get paid. Don't go against the system. Right on. Otherwise, you're going to be living in those symptoms of that circumstance. Allow these people to do what it is that they do, but make your own way. Make your own way. I wanted to ask y'all something. When you guys read in Deuteronomy 28 that the black man was going to build houses, plant vineyards, start families, and then not enjoy them himself, does anybody ever think that that's in response to the fact that the Most High allowed for the Israelites to move into pre-furnished land already, super duper plush, and their response to him was a big forget you? You get what I'm saying? So now the joke is on us. Now we bust our ass, we work hard, and what would have yielded positive results at a certain point in time, now it does nothing for us. Now it does absolutely nothing for us. You're talking about black people who literally, I'm talking about, once again, they had it all. Brand new socks and drawers. Can you dig it? That's right. That's right. That's how you do it. That's exactly how you do it, sister. That's exactly how you do it. You know, I wish I could tell you guys all the stuff that's coming, because it's going to get real hard on a lot of people. It's going to get real hard on people. Uh, it's going to be a lot of people who get killed these next few years. It's going to make people want to cry out. I see it now. What happens when people whom they allow to work and make money right now, they don't allow them to work and make money anymore? What happens when they start making it to where there's actually age restrictions at jobs? You can't be older than this to work, working here anymore. So many different little things. While on top of them trying to get rid of food stamps and saying that you need to work in order to get them, I'm trying to tell y'all, they're about to circumvent the system. D Treasy, my hitter, if he don't get no bigger, is gonna fuck some shit up. I know you guys are like, you don't really support that guy. Of course I don't. But I fuck with, when I say I fuck with Donald Trump, when I say my hitter, I'm not joking with you. That's my dude. That is my dude right there. That is my dude. Because he's making it to where it's like this dude is single-handedly making some of the things that are in prophecy about to come true all by himself. And I'm like, unless this dude's got handlers who are telling him to do everything, if this guy's working off script like they say he is, oh my goodness, we couldn't have got a better Gentile. We couldn't have got a better piece of white trash to be in the White House. Believe that. Believes that. He can't hurt me. He can't hurt me. He can't hurt you if you don't need anything from them. I worried about the one where our people. Oh, where it tells you that you're which part that you're gonna long for your children and you'll have no power, right on, or that your children will go and be slaves. Which one? Because either one is bad. But we're talking about black men think it's the black woman keeping the child from you, keeping your child from you. But in actuality, it's the system that the white man has created that's keeping the child from you. You understand? So when it says they, it or I want to say I'm pretty sure you shall have this. Yeah, they, as in your children. You know what I mean? Being slaves. You know, and then in the other instance where it says, you know, you have no power in your hand, you know, and your eyes will, you know, will long for them. That's exactly that. That's what these black men are going through now, you know. But they forsook the Most High. You didn't interrupt that wrong. Do black parents have a mental relationship, a emotional relationship with their children? Most of them don't. Most of them only have a physical relationship with their children. If you keep reading, it tells you that the woman will have an evil eye for her children too. However, why? Why would he not hate them? They oppress him. It tells you why you hate him. Can you get it? Bro, man, like shit, I would actually have some shit if I didn't have all these little motherfuckers. Excuse my language. But this, I'm just giving y'all a for real deal like spiel from bruh man, anywhere you want to choose. And that's how it goes. That's how it is. I didn't say it was right. I did not say it was right. So the environment has created circumstances that have created symptoms. The environment that we are in, that is controlled by the people, the circumstance here is that one must have an outstanding level of financial resource in order to sustain their family. A black man, especially, being under constant pressure, constant scrutiny, then to have his children oppress them in ways like going to juvenile hall. And then I know this is going to sound even more wrong, where their child has illnesses, you see, and then they feel, you know, subjected pretty much by the child, and they once again, that's just natural resentment. Why would a woman start to hate the man that's in her bosom? I'm gonna assume this is the dude who ain't doing a whole lot, ain't really, you know, working. He done gave her babies. She's hating her life right now. I don't have to get carried away into that because we see it all the time. We see it. You literally see it. You can't deny it. You could if you wanted to. You're grown. I wouldn't do that. It wouldn't be wise. This is the most sad thing about the environment that we're in, is that people believe that the environment is naturally like this. It's like, how? How could you naturally believe that? Once again, that means that they believe that white people are naturally better, are actually naturally superior, naturally more intelligent, everything. If this is the way it's supposed to be naturally, right? It doesn't, you have to be, as a person, you have to speak up for yourself. You can't want me to speak up for you if what I'm going to say you don't agree with. So you have to speak up for yourself. Because if what I'm saying right now you don't agree with, then you need to find a level and a chord where you strike a balance. Otherwise, you will be a victim of these symptoms. Circumstances will not change because the environment will not change. Because those who are in control of the environment want this habitat to be the way it is. It's never going to change. I got a question for everybody. Why do you think the Most High would tell us, once again, that the people are going to struggle in vain, right? When Babylon is going down. I hope y'all don't think it's just talking about the people who live in Babylon. No, like as in, the dirty ass heathen Gentile. No, 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 no. Talking about dirty ass heathen Israelites as well. Yep. Because guess who's been telling y'all that you got stake in this country? This your country too, bruh. You an American. Because they keep telling you that. And some of y'all believe it and take that shit to heart. It's going to get you fucked up. Or worse yet, it's going to get you left behind, which is way worse than getting fucked up. Riddle me this, Batman and Batwoman. What would black people do if they woke up tomorrow and they read an article saying all black people are not the same? Produced by some kind of major freaking geneticist group. What would they do then? Would they seek restitution on behalf of where they come from genetically then? Would they? If somebody actually laid out the designed way in which they're different genetically, and then gave them their struggle, and then showed them where their struggle intersected and intertwined with other people who look similar but are not the same, and have their own struggle, where their struggles intertwine and intersect with theirs, and so on and so forth. So that way these people can first distinguish their struggle and isolate them, and then tell the people where they all deserve to be treated on these levels all the same, because they all were intersected and interjected with each other at these junctions in time. It is an amazing thought what people just might do. An amazing thought. An amazing thought. Next Sunday, if I can, ask just one of you. It ain't got to be everybody. So somebody figure it out right now. I'm in your head. You ain't got to talk about it, but figure it out in your head, because I need just one of you. And then once a week, I need a piece of information about specific black groups. So I need, in-depth information about who the actual Aborigines are. Right on. Specific groups about specific African tribes. So I need people to isolate these kinds of things, and ones who are most indefinitely involved in the particular slave trade diaspora. Next year, I have a plan. Dangerous one, but I have a plan. And it's going to take a congealed effort of all of us for this to go down the way that I know it can. Can't tell you what I'm doing. Can't tell y'all what I'm doing. I'm sorry. It is a secret. It is a secret. And the few people who know aren't going to tell you anyway. But just know what I'm going to attempt to do with your help could very well change everything for us here. Help could help the situation where people want to cry out. It could have huge implications. It could have huge implications if done properly, if done properly, if done correctly. It could have spiritual changes. I will. One moment. One second, y'all. Pertaining to our diaspora expectations concerning slavery. All Aboriginals and other blacks. I'll be more specific as we start to get the information, you know. But right now, we just need to get the ball rolling. I can't put none of y'all in no kind of this. Yeah, this is the most I could ask anybody to do, and that's it. I can't at this point. The rest is kind of on me. You don't threaten the devil. You just kick his ass. Can you dig it? You don't warn him. You don't admonish him. You do nothing like that. The devil's talking crazy. You just break his teeth out of his head. I'm not telling y'all to go out here and commit an act of violence. No, 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 no. I'm saying that when the devil's acting up, put it on his ass or her ass. And the devil ain't always white. You dig it? The devil can look just like you. Your willingness to survive is going to be really tantamount and paramount to your ability to endure. As long as you want to live and have the will to live, the desire to live, you will live. The Most High will do that for you. When you lose the will to live, the desire to live, you will die. If you are wicked and stubborn, you're going to go long before your time. And if you're too wise and too just, you're always going to be confused about what's going on. You're never going to understand why is this happening. So the Most High said to operate within the shade of gray. I'm telling y'all, you had better find a comfortable medium, neither black nor white, as far as your mindset. Because if you're so damn pure, so damn righteous, you're going to find yourself in situations where that suited you none. And if you're so damn wicked and don't ever want to listen, you're going to find yourself face down or face up, right on, laid out, stretched out, with your soul in the fucking underworld and your body still here on the damn earth. Man, I cannot stress this enough. I cannot stress this enough. I know 2 + 2 is 4. So if you think I'm talking about Middle Earth just to fucking sound cool, please. It's the least popular thing I can say. It's so unpopular. It makes me seem crazy. But I'd rather seem crazy and do that for my people than to say nothing. Get ready for some cracking Middle Earth videos for this Operation Longshot. Just gonna take my time. I have nothing to prove, and I most definitely am not going to give the best of what I have uh, uh, to the world for them to take it and to rip it to pieces and defecate and urinate all over it. I won't do that. I will not do that. I will wait for my opportunity, and when my opportunity comes, I will take it. Won't hesitate to strike, and it will be one of those things where hopefully, like I've been doing, putting things together little by little, little by little, little by little. Hopefully, there's a couple of okay, I got you moments as we start to get there. One of my Operation Long Shot videos is going to be one where I do a my own little make believe skit of a family that went, who goes into Middle Earth, and I'm going to explain all the years that they're down there, you know, in my own mind, the warring factions, people who were killed off, changed and made different, and I'm going to point it all out, like, and then I'm going to give them an identity when they come back to Top Earth. I'm going to use real history. I'm going to I'm going to pretty much make up a story based upon who these people are. Does that make sense? I'm going to make up a story about a group of anyone that I can prove is not mentioned biblically within scripture at first, to say, okay, you know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen? This is going to happen. You know what I mean? And people are like, what do you mean this? And I'm like, what I'm saying, we are we are dealing with people who are not people. You're dealing with people who are people who don't want to be people. We're dealing with forces that are far beyond our scope and ability to affect, at least knowingly. Because to knowingly try to affect these things is how you knowingly get yourself killed. There is very little that I think that you guys haven't heard me say. Very little. So I've said everything that I'm saying over and over and over. But the more I repeat it, the more I hear where, okay, let's keep fine tuning it and fine tuning it and fine tuning it. Let's keep fine tuning and fine tuning and fine tuning. I was talking about all black isn't black, really, like 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So for me to say what I've been saying for, a couple years now, not really a big deal. Something I've been believing now for almost 3 years is not really a big deal. And once again, these are things that I've come into my own understanding, you know, when I came into the understanding of it. So it's not like, oh, I always thought like that. It's like, no, this is what I think now because this is how it is. Excuse that. But it's a blessing, y'all. It's a blessing. It's a blessing just to be alive. You know what I'm saying? It's a blessing just I mean, man, just to be here right now and to share all this little bit of stuff with you. Because I got nothing else. You know, as my cousins always, he always talks about one of his ex girlfriends. She would say, "That's all I got. That's all I got, y'all. You are you are a walking, talking, living, breathing. I don't know how else to say it. Chance. You are a walking chance. Because some of these people are just the living dead, and a living dog has more glory than a dead lion every time, because they're going to live as dogs, many of them be praised as lions once they leave. It won't be like that for you because you have a chance. So your chance, you don't have to live like that. You don't have to live like a dog who's alive, who wished that his glory was that of a lion, and the glory that he will have of even being in comparison to when he's gone. To what you hear about people. Uh, that's just how it is. Bear with me, y'all. Google is always messing with stuff. YouTube is always messing with stuff. This is why I don't like to do the hangouts all the time like that, because I'm gonna go back and listen to it. I'm gonna hear all the different times where they made my voice choppy, or the feed got messed up, and I couldn't tell you why that is. No, couldn't tell you why. So, but it's just us being here and being able to make something out of our chance. And if you can take serious for just a part of a moment, once again, people don't think mental hurt is freaking real, dude. So come that day, they're getting smashed to pieces by those things. I'm not gonna help them. I'm not even gonna try to help them because they're the same people calling me a crazy ass nigga right now. So this crazy ass nigga ain't gonna do shit for you. But stand right by and watch it happen and be like, damn, could have sworn I told him about that. Could have sworn I told them about that. Ain't worried about no monsters and giants and dragons and things like that. You better be worried about angry ass human looking, ready to go, ready to do it type foot soldiers. You better be worried about for real, centaurs and satyrs. For real. Better be worried about things that you think are fake. That's what you need to be worried about. Fear the Most High. Love the Most High. Keep His commandments and His ordinances. Do what He asks you to do. Be a help to your brother and your sister. Don't be a hindrance to him. Correct the wicked and commend the just. Condemn the evil and reward the righteous. That's how it's supposed to be. We don't live in that. We don't live in that environment. We don't live in that circumstance. So therefore, we don't know what those symptoms look like. But the symptoms of living in this system, you know exactly what they look like. We know what they feel like. We know what they are. We know what they do. As they get ready to close it on out, I just got to say this right here. We have to do what we can. We can't focus on yesterday, and we can't worry too much about tomorrow. We just can do what we can do right now. If we do that, if we do that, if we do that, we might be all right. If we don't do that, we're not going to be all right. However, my people, it has been an honor to have your attention, to have your ears and your audience, because you have my attention and you have my audience. Um, we're in this together. We are we are people together. No one of us greater than the next. We're just trying to help each other. This is one hand washing the other. And I'm not going to trade up what I'm doing right now for nothing. Like I said, I love this. And I love you all so very much. Um, Not to say that you guys have like replaced my son or something like that, but it's like a lot of you have been very inspirational to me, you know. And I'm a huge void for a lot of years, and I've been able to fill the void with good people and their positive intent. And I appreciate you guys very much for that. With that said, I salute you. You take it easy, and we're gonna do this again sometime if the Most High wills it.